portion of the news brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
2 accused murderers walked today after the Crown dropped its case against them after the trial hit a major snag.
And Fern Carey tonight tells us that this is not the first time the Crown has encountered this challenge.
40-year-old Charles Pandey and 28-year-old Rodney Sylvester were cleared of a murder charge Wednesday after a key prosecution witness, Valentino Bastien, failed to show up at court. Ironically, Bastien was a co-defendant with Charles Pandey in an armed robbery case that was thrown out last Wednesday after the two men they were accused of robbing did not show up at court, citing concerns about their safety. Meantime, during today's proceedings, prosecutors told the court they were not offering any further evidence in the case, which only opened on Monday, prompting Justice Indra Charles to instruct jurors to acquit Pandey and Sylvester of murder. She then told the duo they were free to go. However, Pandey will remain in custody as he reportedly has a drug case pending. Now, Crown prosecutors were also forced to drop their case against 18-year-old accused murderer Richard Brown Jr. last week because a key witness told prosecutors he was afraid to come to court after receiving death threats. Brown was on trial for killing 25-year-old Tory McPhee outside the Lounge nightclub 2 years ago. Police say McPhee was at the club on East and Lewis Streets when a gunman opened fire. He died from a gunshot wound to the head. Another victim, Alfonso Wallace, was killed during that incident, and 3 others, including a woman, were injured. Fern Carey, ZNS Network News.
Under the theme Building Growth into the Caribbean Sustainability Agenda, a concerted approach, the 2nd Annual Caribbean Economic Forum officially opened this morning at the Atlantis Resort, Paradise Island. The conference being organized by the Ministry of Finance and the Inter-American Development Bank in conjunction with the Caribbean Development Bank, the International Finance Corporation, and the World Bank. Altavis Munnings has more from the opening.
One of the primary topics of discussion at the 2013 High-Level Caribbean Economic Forum being held here in the Bahamas is how can international financial organizations assist the growth of Caribbean island states.
Highly indebted Caribbean small island developing states whose debt has reached unsustainable levels must commit to and set out on the reform path outlined above, whilst vigorously and persistently making the case for access to donor-assisted debt relief.
But an archipelagic nation like the Bahamas has to work even harder than its regional counterparts to sustain its economic growth, according to Prime Minister Perry Christie. He believes solidifying public-private sector partnership is one solution. However, the Prime Minister recognized an issue he raised with Caribbean Chief Justices, which can make a significant difference.
If they thought as Caribbean men in particular that they were not to be concerned about what is happening to our males and the impact on our countries from a sociological point of view, from an economic point of view, from an educational point of view. And I said, you must have that interest.
And then there's climate change. It's a complex problem affecting the entire region.
It must become a targeted area where the financing resources of all development agencies are brought to bear in a more inclusive and sustained fashion in small states.
Altavis Munnings, ZNS Network News.
Also from the forum on Paradise Island today, St. Lucia Prime Minister Kenny Anthony also addressed the high-level meeting today. Prime Minister Anthony provided some clarity on issues of vulnerability within the region and how they can be mitigated through regional integration efforts.
Life on an island certainly comes with indisputable vulnerabilities of every kind. And though there might once have been a few limited benefits to isolation, our Caribbean region is certainly far from being classified as a shelled-in region unplugged from the outside world. The socio-cultural, economic, and political shocks and events of a perpetually and rapidly transforming globe cannot be firewalled.
The Prime Minister says while a regional collaborative effort can lead to future resilience and capacity, regional heads must be reminded of the historic battle against poverty. He says poverty rests as a rooted and stubborn cause of vulnerability within the region.
Being poor in a generally rich country is certainly better than being poor in a poor one. because there are generally resources you might be able to tap into, whether from the state or otherwise. In some sense, while the Caribbean has been far from isolated in terms of international engagement, it has entered a realm of economic isolation in that while many islands individually cannot truly stand on their own economically, they have also been graduated in the realm of middle income, as you heard this morning. This developmental isolation is perhaps one of our greatest challenges.
The Methodist Church has teamed up with Urban Renewal to try and redirect the lives of troubled youth in the country.
The partnership is expected to result in the Peace and Justice Institute here in New Providence. The program is a direct response to the crime problem in the country. It's part of the alternate sentencing program for juvenile offenders and young people in trouble. The program takes the youngsters through life-changing courses and skills for a period of 4 weeks to up to 6 months. Dean of Peace and Justice and Director of Education and Training at BCMC is Dr. Reginald Eldon.
We are looking for young people who are still okay, that they don't need to go to the Simpson Penn Center or the William A. Pratt Center. They have just had a minor infraction of some sort, and we believe that we can begin this work with helping those young people to get their lives on track. There are other institutions, services, ministries that are doing very similar work. But let me say that from our perspective is that we don't have enough. We need more and more people. We need hundreds of Bahamians to volunteer to come for training in our coaching and mentoring program to be able to help and mentor and coach and stand alongside a young person who is in trouble.
Co-chairperson of Urban Renewal, Cynthia Mother Pratt, says with BCMC's proven record of uplifting people, she eagerly anticipates an impact.
We accept this partnership as an in-kind gift because educating, inspiring, and uplifting people have no price tag. Urban Renewal is happy to encourage men and women, telling him or her of the value of virtue. We do all that we can to hold up to young people that they can dare, that they can do, and that they can win.
Well, still ahead in sports, 2 teams battle for a championship. We've got the highlights. You're watching the Bahamas Tonight.
This portion of the news was brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
This is your Royal Fidelity Business News. I'm Charisma Robinson. Minister for Education, Science and Technology Jerome Fitzgerald, accompanied by Dr. Michael Darville and College of the Bahamas Chairman Alfred Says, met with Bahamas Oil Refining Company officials on Wednesday to discuss the company's training program operated under the Barco Institute. Barco has leased a space at the old Lewis Yard School to continue with its training program, where it offers free electrical training and welding courses to young Bahamians. Keishel Kerr has been appointed as the new executive director of the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employers Confederation Institute. She will be responsible for driving the vision and mission and growth of the institute. Ms. Kerr previously held the position of CEO of the Training Authority, an independent corporate training company, where she established herself as an expert in the area of productivity, Microsoft Office, and business skills training. And in international business news, U.S. Bank J.P. Morgan Chase agreed to pay 4 regulators $920 million relating to a $6.2 billion loss incurred as a result of the London whale trades. Under the settlement, $200 million will go to U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission and £138 million to the United Kingdom's Financial Conduct Authority. As a part of the deal, J.P. Morgan admitted violating U.S. federal securities laws. This is your Royal Fidelity Business News. I'm Charisma Robinson.